Hey guys, welcome back to another one of my videos. I think you're going to find this one informative. I've been receiving a lot of questions about whether or not we as parents should be doing the exchanges during COVID-19 quarantine. And that's a very, very valid question. What do you do if you're sharing the custody of your children and you don't necessarily feel safe or want to give the other parent his visitation time for the weekend because you don't want to leave the house or you don't want to meet this person at a parking lot because it's unsafe? Well, the court in Stanislaus County and other courts have recently put out directives that give you guidelines of what to do if you're having specific questions about that. So I'm going to cover those real quickly. It's about 8 bullet points that I want to discuss. First of all, you have to remember that it's the state's policy to ensure frequent and continuing visit with the competent, adequate parent so that it serves the best interest of the child, or is capable of serving the best interest of the child. Many of you have gone to court, know this already. Actually, as a matter of fact, you're probably watching this video because you have a court order. But in any event, the courts want you to do what's best for the children as long as you're in agreement with the other parent. If you don't agree, of course, the default is to follow the court order that was provided to you at your last court hearing, at your child custody and visitation hearing. All right. Now, what to do with the exchanges? The first thing is that you should probably consider the location of the exchange. If you're exchanging the children, for example, in a place that's somewhat highly populated, for example, a small parking lot at a restaurant, you should probably reconsider or speak with the other parent about doing it at a parking lot in a large grocery store, for example, where there's plenty of parking spaces out away from the front of the store, and possibly exchange there. The other thing that they want you to consider is that COVID-19 quarantine is not a reason not to let the other parent see the children. If we go back to court in a few months and the judge starts asking you why you didn't allow the other parent to see little Timmy for 2 months, you can't say, oh, it's because COVID-19 quarantine. The judges or the courts have already expressed that's not a reason. So if you're holding on to your children off on that basis, you're probably going to get some heat from the judge for having done that. Spring and summer vacations, what to do with those? Obviously, we're in spring. We have Easter holiday coming up. What the courts want you to do is to look at the old map. They probably updated them, but look at the map that the district of your kid's school has online, if it's still up, and look at it had it not been interrupted by the COVID-19 virus. So in that case, you're just going to follow the holidays that were supposed to happen in accordance with the map had COVID-19 not occurred. So if, for example, you look at the calendar and for the beginning of the school year, and you realize that the next week is Easter week, and that's when the father was supposed to have visitation, and you would follow that. The fact that they're not in school right now does not mean that this is an extension of Easter week, or for you to use as a reason to say, well, there's no spring break anymore, there's no Easter break, so I'm not going to give you any visitation because it's no longer applicable. That's not the case. You're going to have to follow the calendar as set forth by the school district when it was first issued before all this madness happened. So make sure you're following that. Same thing with summer vacation. That's going to come up eventually. Hopefully this thing ends around May. If not, we're going to be going into the summer with this thing. So when summer breaks come, you got to look at the calendar. So when the summer break was supposed to happen, absent COVID-19, that's when the other parent would have the summer break, if that's what the order says. Again, this is if it's in the order. All right, you're not going to go ahead and give the other parent, visitation time during the summer if it's not written in the order. What I'm talking about is that if it's in the order that they're supposed to have summer vacation obviously hasn't started. In that case, again, you got to look at the calendar and see when summer vacation would have started, and that will indicate when it is that the other parent who has summer vacation by order can have exercise that time. Now, there's a present. Sorry, my daughter's over here being goofy. Hi, honey. For those of you who have supervised visitation, obviously a special problem presents itself because a lot of these visitation agencies, for example, here in Stanislaus County, we use Sierra Vista or Positive Life Solutions. Those agencies, I'm assuming, are shut down for a good reason. So your supervised visit is not occurring. Now, that doesn't mean that visitation should be halted. The Superior Court of Stanislaus is recommending that the parents communicate to see if they can find a suitable supervisor, maybe a family member that whom both parties trust, and can cause the visits to move forward in a setting that is agreeable by both parties. Now that may be a little difficult to accomplish, but if that's not feasible, what they're recommending is video conferencing occur through Zoom or other applications that allow for video conferencing. I know there's what is it called, FaceTime, that you could do. The courts want you to come up with innovative and agreeable methods that serves the best interest of your children. For those of you who have visitation in public places as opposed to supervised visits, or in some cases you have a supervisor at a public place, what the courts are suggesting is that the parties select by agreement a park that is large enough or a hiking trail that is large enough where you don't have a large population of people and you can exercise or practice social distancing. Also, what the courts are suggesting is to stay away from areas that have a lot of physical contact by humans that may lead to contamination. For example, a play park would not be a good idea to take the kids, or the actual playground, because you don't know if someone who's been infected or a child that's been infected has touched any equipment. So, excuse me, I'm gonna get my coffee. All right, moving forward, make sure that I haven't missed anything that's important off my list. Emergency personnel. Please, unless it's an emergency where the lives of your children are at stake, a true emergency, do not call law enforcement over child custody and visitation disputes during this time. This is a time where we need our law enforcement, our emergency personnel to be available for true emergencies, not because the baby mama didn't bring the right pants back this time. And I know it sounds funny, you might think I'm exaggerating, but actually that happens. So I hope that parents can set aside their differences and their immaturities to actually come together in agreement under these difficult and very strenuous times for the best interest of their children and to avoid unnecessary complications. Please communicate with one another. I can't stress that enough. Obviously, we want our children to be safe, so you and the other parent should be discussing ways to prevent the contamination of your children or the transmittal of this disease. We want to be able to have healthy, growing children. So be transparent. Be transparent. Speak to the other parent and discuss what needs to be discussed. For example, are they washing their hands frequently? Are they using hand sanitizer? You want to make sure that both of you are on the same page. What's wrong, honey? You want to make sure that you're on the same page when it comes to sanitation and the prevention of the spread of COVID-19. I also want to just get on my soapbox real quick before I end this video. I know that there's a lot of hate messages being sent out there on social media with people who aren't exactly practicing social distancing, and it upsets me a little bit because during this difficult time, everybody's trying to cope the best they can in their own fashion. It's impossible to practice social distancing at all times, so it makes me upset when you see a small family having a barbecue and people leaving hate comments below that. It's not natural for humans to avoid each other and maintain distance from one another. It's not human at all. It's human nature actually to want to be a village, to be together, to have interactions with other human beings. Look at relationships, for example. Humans by nature need human interaction and relationships in their lives, and to fault them for breaking your social distancing rules is not a good reason. Have empathy. For example, there will be people out in the park doing exchanges, and visitations with their children. Don't be judgmental and practice empathy. Okay, we're all in this together. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It's very informative. It's current as of April 3rd, 2020. So if you're watching this video next year in 2021, obviously I'm hoping it's obsolete, but it probably may change in the future if things get worse. If April 15th a new rule comes out, I'll try to update that. But as of now, this is what we got. So you guys have a good day. Subscribe, like, and thumbs up. See you guys later.